an AI for that yet. So, all right, I think we're live.
It's coming. So,
the crazy part is you're okay setting me up for a TED Talk, but you're not okay jumping on a live and doing an interview.
I think you should be on TED. That's my opinion.
I think you should be on Facebook. So,
well, here we are.
So, folks, you're watching this. If you're watching the recording, if you're watching this live, wanted to jump on real quick. Just do an impromptu, little back and forth, right? Now, I'm going to call this an interview, a little back and forth, because we're getting a lot of questions, and I'm trying to give you guys some more value, as much value as I can kind of feed you in this space. As you know, this week we saw. I'm going to call it soft release. Soft release legacy builder executive coaching. The reason I say it's soft release is because it's one-on-one coaching. It is literally directly my time spent directly working one-on-one with people. So we're only limited to so many spots. And so we're not doing some like broad mass release campaign or like some crazy marketing plan. We're literally soft releasing it. And so I want to take an opportunity to introduce my buddy over here. How come I can't point to you? It's the opposite direction. Will Lockhart, who's our COO and our head guru of a lot of things in a lot of spaces in our businesses, but also the dude who's kind of like the intermediary, right? Because I'm massively productive and massively scheduled out. And so in order to be productive and have process, right, like I actually coach on, we have a process. And that is that in order to get it on the phone with me and actually, interview and do what we call a deep dive or a discovery call to figure out what you need, you have to first go through this guy and you have to figure out, are you coachable, right? Well, actually, I'll let you talk about that, Will. So when they get on the first phone call, somebody fills out an application. They look like on paper they're going to be a good fit. They hop on the phone with you and, give us like a 2-minute, what's that conversation look like? What do you guys talk about?
I mean, the first thing is what's working. And you talk about this, right? What's working, what's not working, and what do you think you need? That's the first part of the conversation.
And those are so impactful, right? They're simple questions, right? But like the thing I love about those questions and the reason that they're so important is because like nobody ever asks them, like nobody ever takes the time to ask people those questions, right?
Right.
Like, do you get like profound results from that sometimes? Do you get like people are like, holy shit, no one's ever asked me that? Or
no, the funny thing is a lot of people, they know the answer occasionally. Okay. Like yesterday, I had somebody ask me, what do you mean? And I asked the same question 3 times and then he got it. But a lot of times people really know the answer.
Yeah.
But it's being asked. I mean, it's a simple question, but being asked that question, you know the answer already a lot of times. And that kind of leads us into the thing I really want you to talk about. A lot of what people are missing is clarity. Because if you're a top performer and you're stuck, it's got to be because you're not clear either where you're going or how to get there. So how do you deal with lack of clarity for top performers?
Yeah, I love this. I love this question for a multitude of different reasons. Number one is there's multiple steps to it, but it starts with this. My good friend Sean Whalen, he really slapped the shit out of me about 3 or 4 years ago, and he asked me this question, and dead in the eyes, he said to me, "What the fuck do you really want?" Right? Like what the fuck do you really want? Right? And like for the most part, like a lot of us, right? Like this used to bug me, and actually I was a victim of this years and years ago, right? And people used to say like, "What do you want?" or "Why do you do it?" And then what do we all fall back on? We fall back on, "Oh, I do it for my kids. I do it for my family. I do it," right? And then meanwhile, what happens is a lot of times we're doing it for our family, but yet we're not home for family dinners, right? We're missing the soccer games. We're not paying attention to our kids. We're not spending any quality time at all. When I say quality time, like none, right? Like people aren't spending any one-on-one time with their children, sitting on the floor, playing toys, like interacting with them, paying attention to who they are as human beings, like no family time, right? Let alone maybe a family dinner, or God forbid you date your wife or you date your husband, or you actually have some like one-on-one personal time. So we do it for our family, but what the fuck are we doing?
What does that
mean?
Right?
What does that mean? Like, so when Sean said like, "What do you want?" Right? It was like, damn. Why does what I want matter, right? And here's where it hits home, because what you want should be the most important thing. Like the king has to eat first, king or queen, right? By the way, we coach both. Like so when I say the king eats first, it's you are the leader of your domain. I don't care if you're male or female; it doesn't matter. But you have to treat number one like number one. You have to take care of yourself first. And in order to get clarity, this word clarity, you have to understand what it is the fuck that you want, right? You have to get clear on the outcome that you seek. What do you really want? Do you want a bigger house? Do you want a nicer car? Do you want a second home? Do you want to go fucking sail a sailboat around the 7 seas? Do you want, to send your kids to private school? What do you want is the question, right? And so many of us have these figmentations or these dreams or these thoughts about what we want. And that's great, but that is never going to get you what you want, just to think about what you want. So we have to get clear on what you want is number one. Then it's number two is we have to dial in exactly what needs to happen to get you there. And so we have to create outcome-based strategy that's going to get you to what you want. And so, and that sounds a lot more simple than it is. Obviously, it's a little bit more deep than that. But the reality of it is the reason most people are not clear about what they want is because they've never actually took the time to think about what they want. Yeah.
We had a guy sign up this week, and I said to him, "What do you want?" And he was super clear. I mean, he gave the regular answer, family. I do it for my kids. I said, "But what does that mean?" Dude, he gave me an amazing answer, and I'm going to share it. And I want to share, what it means to you. But he said, "I want to be a front row dad.
Yeah.
I'm going to give my kids money and experiences and not be there. I want to be a front row dad." And I thought about that, and I'm like, and I am a front row dad, but saying that, and because I'm at the swim meets, I'm with my kids every day. Thankfully for what I do, I'm allowed to see my kids every day. But that's a choice. But when you really frame it that way, front row dad, like, what does that mean to you? Because I know you're a front row dad. I know you're horseback riding and everything. 100%. That's not just I do it for my kids. That's very specific. I'm a front row dad.
And I got to tell you, and I don't mind sharing this either, just literally on our 45-minute discovery call, I mean, not only did he signed up for 6 months, we're going to work together, but I literally gamified his schedule and his calendar. This is a guy who doesn't need to be in the office 8 hours a day.
Right.
There's so many of us that, and I did this again for years. I literally was that guy every day in the office, first thing in the morning to the last at night. I mean, I would literally come up with busy work to do so that I felt justified, so that I could text my wife and say, I'm going to miss dinner tonight. I'm going to be home late.
Yeah.
Right. And meanwhile, I wouldn't even be doing anything. I'd be in the office pretending to do shit, or half-assing shit that I could have. If I was more focused and more present during the day, there'd be no reason in the planet for me to actually have to stay late. Right. And so we spoke about this for about 5 or 10 minutes, and he had this aha moment, like, holy shit, I'm so time blocked. I'm so committed to the things I do during work. Why can't I just time block myself to be home during the day? He has a very young daughter. He has another one on the way. And it was like, man, I could just block my time during the day and spend that time during the day with my kid. Absolutely. And it was like, it was like this, like, and sometimes, guys, it's literally as simple as that, right? And sometimes it's more complex, but those to me, that's the most gratifying stuff, is when these little simple pieces start to fall into play in the puzzle, and you start to see the strategy like start to map out. And it becomes crystal clear that these folks that feel successful but are still chasing, what are we chasing? We're chasing these little puzzle pieces. And when they line up, man, it feels good.
You shared that with me last summer. You said I scheduled, I wasn't using a calendar. I came from the automotive business, and you're on 6 days a week. And on the 7th day, if somebody gets a flat tire, you're on too. I wasn't using a calendar, and you told me, like, I block time with my kids, as crazy as that sounds. And it did sound crazy to me, but over this winter, we had a busy winter in the email business. And I remember 2 times I blocked an hour and a half to take my daughters and my son sledding. And there's great memories that I'll have forever. And it could have just been, I didn't block the time and I didn't go because I would not have went. I mean, I got to tell you, one of the times I would not have went. It was nasty outside. It was the best time, but it was nasty. And I would have made every reason why, we'll go tomorrow and it's not as nasty. And I wouldn't have went the next day either. But we blocked the time, and it's some of the best memories I have, specifically with my one daughter, because she just went nuts on the hill. And I realized, I'm like, oh my God, this girl's an adventurer. We almost went into the river. But if I didn't block that time, it wouldn't happen.
And here's the visceral thing I want you to think about, and I want our listeners to reflect on, right? You're going to look back in your phone 3 years from now, 5 years from now, and you're going to pull up a picture of that shitty, windy, snowy, rainy, whatever the hell day, and your daughter was on a sled, and you're going to remember the moment that you pushed her down that hill, and you're going to think back like, damn, I'll never get that back.
Never.
Right? You will never in a million years ever have that same reflection about that hour and a half that you could have been in the office closing an email deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? That will never happen.
Never.
That will never happen. So the problem that most business owners face, entrepreneurs face, hustlers, sales closers, these folks we all face is like, what are we going to miss if we take the time off? It should be the opposite effect. The reality of it is when you miss the time in the office, you make the time in the office more effective.
Absolutely.
Right? So when I take the time for myself to be a great dad, be a great husband, work on myself, I don't care if you're at home reading a book and you're making your mind better, you're working on this real estate up here, right? It's more effective time because now when you are in the office, you're productive.
Yeah.
Right? Uh-huh. Like Matt's behind the camera right now. He knows I'm in the office like 6 hours a week. But dude, when I'm in there, I'm cranking. Like, like I work 5 hours and 59 minutes. Then I stand my ass up and I go home.
Yeah, but you were texting me last night, 10 o'clock at night, a business idea. And that's the thing, like, we can't turn it off. I mean, I worked for 4 hours Sunday night. I can't turn it off. I can't not think about it. And so you have to consciously think about your family and what you actually want to accomplish. And so I think that's huge. Yeah,
you have to be thoroughly mapped out and scheduled out as far as when you're going to plan and execute on these things. But I think that's a big piece of the clarity. What else we got? Who else did we talk to this week? What were they, what kind of challenges did they overcome, or, maybe some other conversations you had? Because I know you talked to a few people this week.
I did too. I got to say, man, even at the crazy thing to me is we're talking high income people, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. High performers. And this one's huge. And we talked about this earlier today. If some of these folks, nobody specifically, myself included, you included sometimes, if we spoke to our staff or our family the way we speak to ourselves on occasion, we'd be homeless and we'd be alone. And I said, and you started working with me on this last December. And honestly, I can honestly, I swear on a Bible, I don't talk bad to myself ever. And if I catch myself wanting to slip, I catch my wife. I say, don't say that about yourself. I say, even on calls with clients or prospects or team members, like that's a real big trigger for me. And I think that's natural. I think we talk the worst kind of smack to ourselves. I don't know if you want to talk about that, but you unlocked that for me, and that was huge.
No, literally. I mean, it comes down to this, guys. Attitude is everything. Right? It's absolutely everything. And you're going to hear me say over and over again that the most successful and the most peak performers out there, the people you emulate, the people you look up to, it's not a matter of the resources they have. It's a matter of how resourceful that they are with the things that they have. Right. And so when it comes down to something like language is free. You don't have to pay money to speak words. I mean, we're on Facebook for free right now. We're speaking. Right. And so you literally get to control your language. Right? What comes out of your mouth. And so to take it a step further, here's a challenge that most people have. And it goes back to not only internal and external dialogue, but your mindset, right? When do we have our greatest ideas? Like, Will, you hear me say this till you're blue in the face. Mine are in the shower when I'm driving.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. Maybe yours is when you're sitting in the park. I don't know.
When I'm trying to sleep. How about that?
When you're trying to sleep. Yeah, I can't do it. I don't have ideas when I'm sleeping. I don't know why. But, a lot of people roll over in the middle of the night, take their notes, and they're sleeping, right? But no matter what it is, if you're in the shower, you get this great idea. You're like, man, I'll go execute on this thing. It's going to take us to another level. We can do this. We can do that. I can, make something happen. It's going to create shifts. It's going to create change. And you're on cloud nine. And then all of a sudden you start hearing these voices and they start saying to you, you sure about that? It's kind of risky, man. It's going to cost a lot of money to do that. And where are you going to get that money from? And are your people going to go along with it? And your wife's going to think you're freaking nuts, dude. You're going to start something else at this point. Like, and it's going to take more time away from your family. Yeah, maybe I don't know. It sounds like more of a challenge than you're really up for. And do you really want to do that again now that you just did this last thing? And so what happens is these inner voices, these conversations start happening, and they start rationalizing your decision to move forward on a great idea, right? And you break that word down into two parts. We're telling ourselves rational lies about why we shouldn't do something, right? Or why we shouldn't take action, or why we shouldn't do something that makes us uncomfortable or moves the needle for us or pushes us in the right direction or gets us closer to our outcome. And so what I tell people is, and a lot of times we don't recognize this, but those voices, Will, that's us.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's not some other like little elf inside your head who's like in, programming, who's like, I'm going to talk this son of a bitch out. No, you get to control that language. Well, here's the thing. About 80% of all of your conversations, cognitive awareness, all the energy that's going on inside your head, about 80% of that's happening subconsciously.
Yeah.
You don't get to control it. You don't get to, it's just happening behind the scenes. The rest of it is happening in front of you. It's this visceral thing that's happening that you get to see, and it's happening, live, and you get to control it. You get to speak to it. Well, here's the thing. The more that you speak negatively this way, right, out of your mouth and into the world and into existence, and, you're clear about, being negative or being the victim or being scarcity or, I can't do it, I'm not capable, you're training your subconscious to repeat those things.
Yeah.
Right. You're training your subconscious to say, oh, well, Joe tells me all the time he's not capable. Joe tells me all the time he has a bad day. Joe tells me all the time he's a victim. Joe tells me all the time how bad the world is and how scarce the world is and how hard money is to make and how hard being a leader is and how hard every day is to get through and how hard his joint pain is to walk around with. Right. He tells me all the time how much so my subconscious starts to work off of that like it's a learning device. Right. Well, same thing happens when we use our language in a positive manner. Right. When you see somebody come up to me and say, hey, how's your day? What's my response? 9 times out of 10. Fantastic. Awesome. Fucking great.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of time. Right. People are looking at me like, are you okay? No, man, I'm fantastic. Right. I am literally going the opposite direction. I am tricking my own self-conscious into believing that everything I touch is gold. Everything's fantastic. I'm so fucking grateful and happy and excited to be alive that I don't want my subconscious thinking anything else, right? Because where my focus goes, my energy flows, right? And so if I can trick my conscious mind into speaking properly and energetically and optimistically and forward thinking and visionary thinking and thinking about my outcome and where I want to go and what I want to do and who I want to do it with, well, then my subconscious mind is going to start to learn that language, and it's going to start to come along for the ride. And next thing you know, I'm saying, I got big hopes. I got big dreams. I got big things I want to accomplish. And my little teeny voice is like, yeah, why not? You did that shit last week and it actually worked. Yeah, you set out to do that thing last month and you guys closed that deal.
Holy it's like shit. A release. It's like your subconscious, you let it go. You let it when you feed it the positive, you release it. Because it's not like your subconscious is I don't want to curse, but it's not like your subconscious is a little bitch.
I just cursed 20 times. You don't want to curse?
Yeah, it's not like your subconscious is a little bitch, but it's there to keep you safe, right? That's doing strange things, it would rather talk you out of it.
But here's the problem, though. It was designed 10,000 years ago to keep you safe from the saber-toothed tiger. It was designed to keep you safe from freaking freezing to death because we had to hunt, we had to kill, we had to find shelter, we had to start a fire, we had to keep from freezing to death, right? If we wanted to eat, we had to go murder something and drag it home. If we wanted our kids to survive, we had to go kill something and bring it back, right? By the way, while we were out there killing, we had to make sure we didn't get killed along the way.
Absolutely.
And by the way, if you got killed while you were out there, your family's chances of survival went down to about 5%. Okay, so your subconscious is constantly trying to keep you safe from predators. It's constantly trying to keep you alive. It's constantly trying to keep you from freezing to death. But fast forward to 2021, God, nobody in America, I can't say nobody. Obviously, there's people who have serious issues with homelessness and poverty and things like that. But the vast majority of us are not fighting for food, shelter, or clothing or heat. Right? You're safe. You're in an environment. You're in some sort of shelter. You're not outside hunting for your dinner. Right? Yeah. And so when you have those 4 basic needs met, Now you can start focusing on abundance and growth and next level and pushing yourself, right? But your subconscious mind hasn't developed as fast as our conscious minds have, right? So it's still thinking about fight or flight. It's still thinking about keeping us alive. It's still thinking about keeping us safe. And for a certain portion, we still need that, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't want to go walk out in front of a bus, right? We need it to keep us safe from that shit. But for the rest of the time, we need it to keep us motivated to move forward, right?
Right.
You're not going to die from doing a business venture, most likely, depending on what kind of business you get in, right? But, for the most part, the rest of us, we're out there trying to create new things and grow and do uncomfortable things. And as soon as it gets uncomfortable, your subconscious thinks this might not be safe. And that's a lie.
So this is what I think, and this is what talk about it. But when we consciously move away from negative self-talk, I went from negative, and I never told you this, right? But this is something I found outside of our program. I went from negative to neutral. Yeah. A lot of the time. So you can't go from bashing yourself to I'm the greatest guy in the world. I went, I'm neutral. And not just myself, but anything I was thinking about. It's a neutral. Then I went to positive. And when you speak consciously to your subconscious, it listens, right? But I think there's a two-way feedback, right? When your subconscious is doing the thing it does, keeping you safe, that feeds your conscious mind limiting beliefs.
No, totally. That's what it's doing, right? But remember the law of polarity, right? You can't have day without night. These are complete opposites,
right?
We wouldn't know about day and night if one or the other didn't exist, right? If the sun was up all the time, you wouldn't know what darkness was. It would just always be light. Right? It just wouldn't happen, and vice versa, right? And so you can't have one end of the spectrum without the other. So in other words, what you're saying is I stayed somewhere in the middle because I didn't shift too far this way, I didn't shift too far that way, right? And so when we talk about courage, right, the opposite of courage, a lot of people think is like, well, the opposite of courage is that I just stay safe and I stay in my zone and I stay comfortable. No, it's not. The opposite of courage is conformity, right? It's just being like everybody else and not doing anything differently, right? That's a polar opposite. And the same thing goes for success, right? If I want to really push the needle and get to that next level, the opposite of success is actually discipline, right? See, success doesn't feel really good unless I really worked for it. That's why when you see people that win the lottery and make 10 million bucks, and they blow it in 65 days and they're broke again. They're not disciplined enough to handle the success. They don't enjoy the fruits of their labor, right? They didn't really earn the money, so they don't know how to keep the money and respect the money and control the money, right? But when I discipline myself to do the hard work, be consistent, be predictable, make sure that I'm putting in the effort consistently, now I earn the success. The success feels so much better because I put the time and effort in. And that's where the law of polarity comes in. Now, if I want that brutally amazing mindset that pushes me to the next level, well, then I have to go all out and over-talk myself and push myself and tell myself I'm the best. Tell myself I'm going to kick ass. Tell myself there's nobody better than me, right? And you're not saying this out loud to other people, right? Like you're not walking around beating your chest, and again, this is inner self-talk, right? But if I want to be the happier version of me, then I'm going to tell myself I'm fantastic. I'm going to tell myself I'm grateful. And gratitude has a lot to play into that as well.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, how many times have you asked me, how's it going today? And I said, not bad. And then you smacked me in the face. That's going. That's just years of programming. It's going.
But it's going will keep you neutral.
Exactly.
Right? Or good. You hear people say good, and that's neutral, right?
Yeah, good.
Or then the worst thing is you hear people like, nah, that's victimhood, right? Like if they can't even admit that they being alive and getting up on the right side of the grass and breathing and enjoying the sunlight hitting them in the face isn't a freaking amazing thing. That's an amazing opportunity. You've been given another gift. If they can't admit that, then they're definitely on the opposite side, right? Then they're 100%. Definitely in victimhood.
100%.
So, all right, I got to cap it there. I think that was pretty good. I think that was hopefully insightful and valuable to some of the people if you're on the fence. So guys, here's the thing. We're going to keep giving you some insight because, again, very, very limited window for who we're taking on as clients. But I still want you to have the opportunity to talk to Will, because you might not be a fit today, and we might not have availability for you today, to be perfectly honest. But I still think it's worth the time to spend 15 minutes on the phone with Will to figure out what's working for you right now, what's not working for you, right? And what you think it could be your limiting factor to growth, what could be keeping you from getting to the next level. The reality of it is, again, you might be a good fit in 6 months. You might be a good fit in 2 years. But we will try to add value to you one way or the other. We'll try to figure out what it is that we can do to help. We'll always try to, give you that piece. And in the meantime, we'll continue to do live videos like this to try to help you get outside of your shell, get outside of your comfort zone. There's a lot of folks sitting on the sidelines. You guys message me, hey, tell me about the coaching thing. And then I send you the link and I never hear from you again, right? I understand there's a lot of folks sit on that fence because they feel like I'm not ready to do the commitment. I'm not ready to go in all in on myself. I'm not ready to play full out. I'm not sure if I'm the right fit. I'm not sure if I'm the right person. Folks, I'm here to tell you there's absolutely zero commitment to having a 15-minute call with Will and figuring out if he can help you. If he can't, that's fine too. There's nothing to sell here. We're not here to sell you. We're here to serve you. We're here to help you and see if you're a good fit for the program and if you're a good fit long-term for us. Again, we'll continue to bring value. We'll continue to bring live content your way. If you want to check it out, go to legacybuilder.coach and schedule a call with Will. Will, anything to add to that?
No, that's it, man. Visit the website. Matt might even drop the link in here for the calendar if you don't need to see the site and you just want to hop on the calendar and talk. So
cool. Awesome. Appreciate you guys. Have a kick-ass day.
All right.